Welcome to the Foreign File. I'm Richard Williamson, and today we'll be deep diving into South Korea, a fascinating country with a new democratic system beginning from 1991. To give us an official perspective of this journey, we have a very unique insider sitting with me today. His name is Brian Clark, and he has one of the most high-profile public relations jobs currently available. He's an official, government contracted, global media spokesperson for the Ministry of Culture in South Korea, and his name is Brian Clark. Great to have you, Brian. Now, before we look into the data, I think our listeners are probably wondering what a person like you ends up standing in an official South Korean government job, considering the strict citizen laws and nationality laws. What's the story? Oh yeah, I get that like all the time. So like, honestly, man, it's like it's like a right place, right time kind of situation. So like, literally like a year ago, like I was just like regular guy, just chilling in the States, Newport Beach, California, like very nonchalant, like vibes, and stuff. And then, so, and like then my mom, she remarried, and she married this guy who's like, he's like the executive of Samsung, which is like this big company in South Korea. And like, then we moved there like a few weeks later after like the wedding and stuff. And like, you know, so I was like, okay, great. This is cool. I was like, okay, I'm chilling. And so like, then we like living there for a few weeks. And then I'm like trying to figure out my next move, because like before I had ran two businesses. I had just like kind of closed because like constraints and stuff. But these two businesses were like shoe businesses. I don't know if you've heard of them, but like Heart Busy Boy and Rizzy Alpha. Those are like the names. Although I don't know if I can say that because like I don't know what the laws are anymore. But so like I just closed them down, and I was like looking for my next opportunity, my next big move. And my dad comes home one day because I'm like still living with them for like chilling and stuff. He's like, "Hey Brian, do you want to like job at like the Ministry of Culture? Cause like they have like this new position, like brand new." And I was like, very nonchalantly, I was like, "I mean, I guess like if you don't mind." And so I went to the interview place, and they like saw. We just were like, we were just like vibing, like all the way. It was so great. And literally, like, after the interview, they just, like, handed me the offer. It was like, do you want this? And I was like, do I want it? Like, again, like, very nonchalantly. And I was like, basically, they gave me the contract, like, on the spot. And it really just shows that, like, if somebody points you to your door, you just gotta walk through it, okay? And now I'm, like, delivering policy briefings. I'm just, like, talking to journalists like you. And I just love it. It's so unreal. It's so great. And like the progress in South Korea, I'm allowed to share, is just so, from the bottom of my heart, so immaculate. It is honestly breathtaking. What that what an interesting perspective. This is gonna be a very riveting interview. But let's look past the immaculate vibes and start with the bedrock of South Korea, the government. Now, to evaluate the stability of South Korea, we have to look back on how this young democracy emerged. Now, before 1991, South Korea had just emerged from a history of military dictatorships, authoritarian control, and military coups. In fact, it democratization essentially began in 1979 with the assassination of President Park Chung-hee. But instead of immediate freedom, the country plunged into another military coup and several years of political crackdowns. Now, if you take a look at the historical data from the photographic records of Seoul National University, the democratization collection maps out the civil unrest and the protesting that went on during the democratization era. In fact, it took a massive June Democratic uprising in 1987 just to force the authoritarian state to transition and allow for direct presidential elections. Then, in 1987, the Constitution allowed it ensured that the president would only get one 5-year single term. So, from your perspective, how fragile do you think the government is today in South Korea? I've seen the SNU photos before, and like honestly, they're just like so aesthetic for like democratization, like and stuff like that. And like, it's basically like, it's basically like, it's like I feel like you're saying it wrong because like really the democratization really shows how much we've moved, not how much we struggle. Cause like, kind of like an iPhone 3 to an iPhone 15. Cause like, before this, like, we were like struggling. We had authoritarian and stuff, and so now we have like all this like good stuff like like we have a democracy. We have like the 5-year term and like all this kind of stuff. It's like I feel like people are always like, oh, South Korea is like so unstable with their government, and like I feel like they're wrong because like we're actually really stable. I mean, we actually really stable in the sense that compared to what we were before, as I said, iPhone 3 to an iPhone 15, the specs are better, the power is better, the speed is better, the greatness is better. All of it relates to me and the country. As I said, the aura is better. Like basically all I'm saying is that we've evolved so much and it's so great. It's the best. And like we really have truly became a powerhouse. So that's basically all I want to say. Like, yeah. Well, Brian, from an analytical perspective, you cannot separate South Korea's political scandals from the corporate structure currently defining the country. According to an analysis from the Council of Foreign Relations, the CFR, the country's economic model relies almost entirely on chaebols, which are essentially massive family controlled corporate companies such as Samsung, Hyundai, Kia, LG, and etc. And the issue with these is that they use their large monopolistic behavior to buy political favors, influence policies, and crush smaller businesses. And originally, while they were built to force rapid industrialization, they've now grown so big that they're essentially controlling the country. Once again, I feel like you're seeing this so wrong. Cause like you're looking at it from like upside down. Cause like literally the chaebols are like they're like the main characters of like the global economy. They're like when you play video games, cause I don't play video games. You know how like there's the good boss characters? That's what the chaebols are, cause they're like ultra powerful, but they're like good, okay? And so they're like helping others, and like there's so many good boss characters. I would assume, cause there's like so many bad boss characters. I think, right? Don't fact me check on me that. Don't clip me on that. Don't do anything with that. But like the point I'm trying to make is that the good boss characters help the player, and the chaebols, which are the big boys, they help South Korea. And like, let me ask you this. Let me ask you this, because I love asking questions. Would we have what we have right now? Will we have TikTok scrolling videos or whatever? Will we have iPhones right now? No, we wouldn't. And you want to know why? Because Samsung, which is a chaebol, they they give their screens to Apple, and so Apple uses the screens. And so basically, without Samsung, the world would be falling apart. That's all I'm saying. They also kind of broke the country. Let's look at some more data. If you examine the World Bank financial records, South Korea and several other Asian countries faced a catastrophe in financial records in the 1997 Asian financial crisis, otherwise known as the AFC. During this time, the country's GDP went down by 5.1%, and unemployment nearly doubled overnight. And why did that happen? It was because these chaebols, which we know are corrupt, were overborrowing, expanding recklessly, and weren't being financially accountable. Essentially, South Korea further then had to buy, in order to keep the economy from falling downhill completely, they had to take out an IMF. So, do you think the economy is actually stable when a system relies on a few companies to control the entire nation? I feel like I feel like the 97 crisis or whatever was kind of like just like a lag in like the system, cuz like, it's like, like when you're like playing another game, because apparently people like games. I don't, but like I know people do. And like I see people playing, and then all of this is sudden like their game starts to lag because like they cheat down on a graphics card or whatever. And so is you know what they do is they then like look up like the strategies or whatever, or like the next game plan. And that was what the financial crisis was, okay? Do you know what we did after the financial crisis? We literally added new laws. They were the best laws. And now look where we are. We have like the best stuff, the best, 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 the best economy, the 15th largest economy in the world. Write that down. Click on that. And like everybody's like, oh, the Jables are so bad, they're the worst. But really, they're the best, because really they actually, like help us, because once again, without the Jables, without Samsung, would we have Apple? No. Would we have an economy in the world? No. Okay? All I'm saying is that we need these companies. What a fascinating way to brush off a national economic collapse. But let's look at the structural issues for people in South Korea. Because the shables are so large, they actually affect the general population. Regular Korean students have to endure toxic, stressed 14-hour days to compete for limited slots at those top companies that I mentioned earlier, including Samsung, Hyundai, etc. Now, they don't make the cut. Um, they are essentially trapped from making any progress in their life, causing a income and inequality gap, essentially suffocating the younger generation financially and mentally. And because of this, young people are refusing to have kids, meaning that South Korea has one of the lowest birth rates in the world. I mean, like, I guess, but like, explain why, like, literally, South Korea in the world is like so hyped up about the South Korean culture. Like, we literally are popping off. We got the Hallyu, was in like in English. I think it like means like Korean wave or something. I don't know. I like looked it up one time and honestly, I just forgot. But like, basically, what I'm saying is like the Korean wave, Hallyu, is literally like transformed the world. So like we have K-pop and like all these like idols and stuff. Like we have BTS and like all these other things, and then we also have like Korean films. So we have like K dramas and K movies and K festivals. I don't know why I keep saying K, but like that's like a shorthand. And like, you know what we also have? Is what we also have. We have cuisine. Everyone loves Korean cuisine. And honestly, what I'm trying to say is that together, the Hallyu unites us all because the Hallyu makes us connected through culture. And my job is literally culture, economy, culture, South Korea, and like what I'm trying to say is that culture unites everybody in every country. People share traditions, and so the Hallyu unites the people of South Korea. Rather than the entertainment metrics, let's actually look at the sociological data. According to extensive demographic and cultural studies on modern Korea, there's actually a generation split tearing through the current population. As the older generation grew up with severe poverty, war, and a harsh authoritarian military government, and then the current young generation has grown up with a much more privileged life, with a much wealthier country, a democracy, and etc. And because of this, the two groups are living in different worlds essentially, locked in disagreements over politics, social values, and a shrinking job market. So, looking at the cultural divide from these generations, do you really think that the country is unified? Once again, you just like missing the bigger picture here. Okay, another analogy, because I love my analogies. Okay, you see two generations and see conflict. I see two generations and see a K-pop group. Okay, so every top tier idol K-pop group has two groups. Okay, they have the Young Line, which are like the older members, and they got like the steady vocals. You got the choreography and all kinds of that jazz, and then like you have the Maknae line, and those are like the hyper like speedy fast like Generation Alpha. I don't know, like kind of digital like vibe and like stuff, and they like do the rap and all that kind of stuff. And so like that's basically what South Korea is. You got the old generation and like the young generation, and they both have their different styles. And obviously they're gonna bigger, but in the end, they how you literally unites them, and like everybody is connected through like tradition and culture. And so honestly, it's not a divide. It's like having brother sister. Like the brother and sister love each other. They might argue all the time, but like in the end, they love each other and they're great together or whatever. Well, mostly some of them were like, but like most of all, like that's what I'm trying to say. Cause like everyone is like so anti like the generations, but like literally it's like connection. Okay. The data from the Korean National Police Agency shows that South Korea is one of the most safe democracies in the world. But that's just inside the country. Now, outside, there's a different perspective. According to a defense analysis from the Center of Strategic International Studies, otherwise known as the CSIS, South Korea is locked into one of the most dangerous security environments in the world. As the country is still technically at war with North Korea, when they only made a military stalemate in 1953. Now, I looked up your address because for some reason you have it on all your platforms. You are sitting nearly 30 miles away from a demilitarized zone, otherwise known as the DMZ, which is essentially a border lined up with artillery shells, constant missile tests, and high stakes military standoffs. And on top of that, the danger that many people are concerned about is the reliance on the US military for their basic survival. So, do you think that South Korea has really real control over its territory, or is this stability just an illusion? Honestly, security is kind of like a vibe check in for me, cause okay, what we can start with the domestic stuff, okay? Like, do I feel safe in my daily life? 100%, okay? I can literally walk down one of our fancy alleyways in the middle of the night, 3 a.m. in the morning, leave it at the most sketchiest place in South Korea, okay? I can go do a little potty break, come back, and do you know what will still be there? My MacBook, okay? Basically, nobody touches it, and I know where it is at all times, and that's control over territory. Just like how South Korea has control over their territory. Okay? And this domestic safety is it's like you know how you have like two x squared like in algebra or whatever? Those two x squares like destroy each other. And so that's what domestic safety and external safety is. They cross each other out because they're both like the same, okay? And the North Korea situation, because as I said, x squared and x squared bounce each other out. Honestly, it's just like background noise. Cause literally it's just like a loud, obnoxious neighbor that like bounces, and I don't know, slams their TV and cries why me after like a bad breakup or something. And or they're like bouncing around or like stomping on the ground literally. And honestly, they're really annoying and loud and obnoxious, but nobody really cares after a while. Or there would be missile tests all the time. Everybody loves missile tests for some reason. And I'll be scrolling on Starbucks looking for iced matcha latte to order or something because I just love Starbucks. Just love it so much. And I'll be trying to order it and I'll be right about to click order, send to me, yum yum yum. And then all of a sudden it'll get beep 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 beep, emergency missile test. And honestly, nobody cares because we're protected and by the U.S. And that's a good thing. I don't know why everybody's hating on it. Because honestly, who cares? The U.S. protects everybody. Why is everybody so scared of South Korea? Nobody really cares at all about the security because we're so chill with it. Well, Brian, it has been such a riveting time speaking with you today. And we've really covered so many topics about South Korea. The democratization of 1987, chaebols and the corruptness, generational divides, and the shadow of North Korea hanging over. But before we wrap this podcast up, what is your final message to our viewers? My final message to the world, my world, is don't let these boomer statistics block your view of the greatness that South Korea has to offer, okay? The country has literally leveled up so much from where we used to be. As I said, iPhone 3 to iPhone 15, okay? Literally, we have leveled up so much. So don't let these boomer statistics distract you from the real greatness. South Korea is truly winning, okay? What a fascinating philosophy. Now, for our viewers and listeners, and I cannot believe I'm saying this, where can people find you online? Okay, so like, you literally could hit me like up on like any platform, like X, True Social, Blue Sky, Instagram, Instance, MetaConnect, the Metaverse, Facebook. You can hit me up on Grok. I have my own Grok bot. Ooh, I have an AI chat mode for OpenAI, and I have a Gemini gem. I have like you can chat with me like through an AI. That's always popping off now, cause like AI is like popping off right now, and so like I'm popping off right now. If you like get what I mean, and like basically you can hit me up on any platform, DM me, be like, hey, oh, I have to tell you my user tag. Okay, it's Hot Korean Boy 67. Now, hot is spelled with two T's, and boy is spelled with an I. So it's BOI instead of BOY, okay? And then 67, obviously, is like 67. So, like, Hot Korean Boy 67, once again, HOTTKOREAN, I think, BOI 67. That's my tag. Once again, find me on any platform. Snap me, DM me, um, AI me. I'm so many places. Some of them are more shocking than others, you know. But like, I am all over the place, okay? Find me anywhere. Oh, TikTok, I have, and all of those like scrolly things. I have like daily things. Like you can like scroll and like watch me like do get ready with me, behind the scenes Ministry of Culture content. Like all kinds of stuff. It's like truly immaculate. Once again, just like South Korea. Okay. This is an official representative from a actual government. Thank you so much, Brian, today. It has been such a fascinating experience for me, maybe for our viewers. But yeah, thank you for coming. Thank you so much, Brian. I really appreciate it. I just truly appreciate it. It's, it, I really do. I know you're like kind of like weirded out by me or something. I don't know. I got like an awkward vibe from you, but that's okay. We're chilling like a villain, and like I'm really glad I got here to like clean things up, like make sure everybody knows how great South Korea is. Hearts to SK. Anybody from South Korea watching, like literally hearts. But like, thank you so much, guys. Thank you. Hot Green Boy 67 on all platforms. Anything you think of, I'll be there. Alright, now that our official state spokesperson has cleared the room, let's strip away the PR and look at the actual and analysis. So, if we use our scale of international metrics, South Korea currently lands at a 3, which means strong, but still not great. Essentially, mixed progress. Now, to be fair, a 3 is a great score. In fact, the country has achieved massive milestones since 1991. Most systems are functioning within the government. Besides several corrupt leaders, the overall political framework has been resilient and continues to be steady without a total collapse. However, it could not be a perfect 4 due to that very reason. There are still lots of corruption within the economy and the government itself. There is a generational divide which has split the country apart, and the security within the security, the threat of North Korea is extremely dangerous. So, essentially, it's good, but it's not great. So, the time we had today. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Richard Williamson, and this is The Foreign File. See you next time.